Thank you for joining us for Living the Promise, a Catholic marriage enrichment series created by the Archdiocese of Los Angeles Office of Marriage and Family Life. Guiding this session on family of origin are Winston and Dinah Perez. They have been married for over 34 years and they have 4 children and 1 grandchild. They will be sharing the importance of understanding the concept of family of origin and how family of origin affects us both personally and as a couple. Let's join Winston and Dinah.
Family of origin is defined as the family that we grew up with and the people that we live with as a child. Essentially, they are the ones who had the sole responsibility of providing care for us. Our family of origin may be 2 parents, 1 parent, grandparents, aunts and uncles, or foster care. But whatever family household we grew up in, the family of origin become our source of knowledge on how we deal with love, life, and relationship.
Our family of origin is the driving force that's shaped who we are. It determines the thoughts we have about ourselves and the feelings that we have. And it provides us the examples on how we behave towards others and what we expect from other people in our lives. For example, we get our values and beliefs, what we think is important to us, such as family, education, time, money. We also develop our expectations, what we think is possible for as a couple, and what we expect from each other. And what we expect are the roles of a husband and a wife. We also learn how to communicate, our communication style, how we talk and act towards each other. Also, our family of origin had taught us how to communicate with others. Do we share openly to our loved ones, or do we hold back on sharing?
Our place in the family. Are we the oldest, youngest, or middle child? This affects how we relate with others. Our attitudes, how we approach situations and other people. Role models, those who shape our perceptions, beliefs, attitudes, and values.
Learning about our family of origin has helped Winston and I understand each other more by recognizing its profound impact on us as individuals. Our family of origin had affected our marriage and our relationship in such a big way. It has given me an insight to why Winston acts and reacts to certain situations. And this concept of family of origin has helped us blend our differences in a way that it allows us to complement each other and work together better as a team for the good of our family.
The challenge for both of us is how to blend our family of origin into our new family. As we can see, understanding our family of origin is crucial in developing a loving and successful marital relationship.
Well, to fully understand what family of origin is, we need to look back on our own childhood experiences and our own family makeup. For example, were we born here in the United States or in another country? Probably another state? Who was around us when we were growing up? Were we raised in a large family or a small family? Did we have enough resources for everyone? These types of experiences influenced our behaviors, our outlook in life, and how we see the world. From our family of origin, we develop a picture in our minds of our future, how our life should look, or how it should be. These early pictures, based on our family of origin, contributed to the development of the behavior patterns and a way of thinking that we now possess as adults. It is extremely important that we share these pictures with each other so we can understand and support one another.
I come from a 2-parent family. Both of my parents were college graduates and excelled in their chosen professions. My mother was an English and Spanish teacher, and my dad was an accomplished jazz pianist. Both of my parents came from a strict Catholic upbringing and from large families. They also instilled to us the importance of good education as well as good moral values. There are 4 boys in the family, and I am the youngest of the 4 boys. And eventually my parents also adopted a baby girl, my sister, 1 year after I was born, and adopted twin boys 2 years later. My parents, they relished a quiet home. But our house was always filled with music, whether it was jazz, contemporary bossa nova, or classical. My parents were career-oriented persons, and who were very busy with their professions. And so they hardly had time to take care of us. So eventually, they hired a maid to help them with the younger children. I remember our maid, Paz. She took on a greater role of providing care for me and my younger siblings, such as preparing our meals, washing our clothes, getting us ready for school, and picking us up after school. Paz literally became my second mom when we were kids. And early on, I learned not to question authority and became a very good listener and follower. I was not encouraged to talk back or share my thoughts, feelings, or opinions. In fact, our eldest brother, who was 10 years older than me, was handing down the authority over us when my parents were away. In my family of origin, my dad took care of all the household finances, such as budgeting, shopping, investing, saving. He also believed that we should simply buy things that we only need and not what we want. And even though both of my parents were dual income professionals and very successful in their careers, they believed in being frugal, especially my dad. However, they also believed that real estate investments and saving money are the keys to the family's security and the barometer for a successful married life. And this belief was ingrained in me early on in life. And so when I met Dinah and we got married, I found myself repeating the same mantra to her. I continually encouraged her to invest in real estate as part of her retirement savings.
My mom and dad are both Filipinos, and they're Catholics. They were married for 54 years before my dad passed. My dad was a lawyer, and my mom was a teacher. I'm the oldest of the 6 children, my 4 sisters and 1 brother. Mom's sister lived with us while we were growing up, providing us emotional support. We had maids to take care of us physically. We immigrated to the United States when I was 14 years old for a brighter future. 6 mouths to feed, Father didn't have time to pursue his law practice. So Dad became a title researcher and in the evening was a taxi cab driver. My mom worked in the office. My father was the boss in the family. He was a good provider, the disciplinarian of the family. He set the rules for the household. The finances were mainly controlled by my father. He paid the bills and made most of the major decisions for the family. My father was a dominant figure while I was growing up. My mother agreed to everything my father said in front of us. My mother was quite submissive. She supported my father in all his decisions. She was the strong, quiet partner. Any decisions were handled behind closed doors, and they showed a united front. On the other hand, my mother was also a religious woman. We went to church every Sunday together. She also made sure that we went to Catholic school, despite the limited income. On a holiday weekend, we would visit places we've never been before. Each summer, we went on vacations within California or other states, and we would pile up inside the station wagon with my parents and all 5 siblings. My father always used his credit card to pay for our vacation, and he would take the whole year to pay for it. My father put me in charge of my 5 siblings, and I became his right-hand man. We had limited resources, so therefore Dad did a lot of do-it-yourself projects around the house. I assisted him in projects like painting, mowing the lawn, and cleaning. And so with all that responsibilities placed on my shoulders, I was also expected to do well in school. I never had the opportunity to participate in after-school activities. But these experiences taught me to be self-sufficient and independent. And it also made me bossy, demanding, and control freak.
As we can see from our description, Dinah and I have a few significant differences in our family of origin. Dinah was the oldest of their family, and I was the youngest. She was her father's right-hand person, which taught her to be assertive and decisive. I, on the other hand, I was the youngest, and I was taught early on to be quiet, just follow and obey my parents or my oldest brother. And so I became very timid and reserved as a child, almost like a wimp. When this later became a quiet and aloof demeanor as an adult, I became indecisive and afraid to explore things outside my comfort zone. And so when I started to date Dinah, I was immediately attracted to her warm and outgoing personality, as well as her decisiveness and take-charge demeanor. Remember that big palm tree that you and your dad used to cut every summer? And I happened to visit you on the day your dad decided to cut those trees. He handed me that big bolo knife in front of my stomach, and he said, "Go up there and cut some trees for me while I take a break." Fortunately for me, my sweetheart, my princess warrior, just came out of that house. And you took that bolo knife and told your dad, "I am your visitor." And you went up gracefully up that ladder. Skillfully cut those trees while I was just looking up there with my mouth wide open. Imagine the embarrassment I felt. What a great first impression I gave to your dad, my future father-in-law.
In the beginning, the differences in our family of origin made our marital relationship a great match in heaven. I took charge while Winston simply followed. He refrained from sharing his thoughts or opinions to me and allowed me to make the decisions, which fed into my need to be in full control at all times. There have been times where our differences caused conflicts. Winston and I have different pictures of raising our children. Having been raised by a strict and disciplinarian father, I had the same picture in raising our kids. I expected our children to adhere to the same set of rules that I was raised and grew up in.
I believed in an easygoing and lenient style of parenting. Although I was raised in a strict and structured household, I never wanted to expose our kids to the same upbringing. I pictured myself to be a more flexible and tolerant dad to our children. Donna and I struggled to reconcile our pictures of raising our kids, and it became a very sensitive issue in our marital relationship. Donna is also a very outgoing and gregarious lady. And because of her warm and kind demeanor, she can easily engage people in conversation. But I, on the other hand, am her complete opposite. I am a very quiet person, and I feel very uneasy talking to people. So when Donna and I talk, she usually does all the talking, while I go straight to the point and try to end our conversation. I have three main responses to Donna in our conversation, and that's going to be yes, no, and okay. And because of my family of origin, I really had a hard time expressing my thoughts or sharing my feelings and opinions to Dinah. And this has cost her a great deal of frustrations toward me. You see, if I only had known about family of origin and its effect on me, I would have been more receptive about our differences in our upbringing.
Holidays was a time when we saw the differences in our family of origin. I grew up in a family that enjoyed celebrating events, holidays, and reunions with family members and close friends. We enjoyed hosting parties and loved to see family members enjoying themselves. We loved to cook and prepare meals for everyone to share, enjoy, and partake in. We also loved to entertain our guests with music, dancing, and singing.
My family celebrated holidays and special events in a very simple and quiet family get-together. Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, or birthday celebrations consisted only of my parents and siblings. And all activities such as meal preparations, mealtime, cleanup, and opening of gifts were organized and orchestrated by my parents. Some family member might drop by to say hello, but normally they would not stay too long. Our holiday celebration was quiet, simple, and quite mundane. And so when Dinah and I got married, the picture I had in my mind regarding any kind of event celebration would be exactly what I experienced as a child. Peaceful, quiet, serene. But boy, was I terribly mistaken. So whenever Dinah tells me about a celebration that is in the works, I would immediately start complaining about the house not being ready for the party, or she prepares more food than what is needed, or the house will be a mess after the party because I'm the one who ends up cleaning after that.
When I was growing up, when we have parties, it starts at lunch and ends up after dinner. So when we have parties, after 5-6 hours, Winston is not in the room anymore, so I start looking for him. And I find him in a room all by himself, reading or watching TV. And it really upsets me because my parents are looking for him and he's by himself. Well, finding out about the family of origin really helped me a lot. Because now I understand that it's a long day for Winston to be having all these people around him. And I don't have to give him a hard time after that. And whenever my parents and my family members look for him, I'll just say he's just resting in the other room. It's okay. Nothing's wrong. He's fine. But now I should say that he's always in the room the whole time. So over the years, it's gotten better.
My mother loved having a clean house, but she never wanted the cleaning part of it. So she would hire someone to do the house cleaning. She always made sure that the house was always pristine before my dad arrived from work. So this is the picture that was ingrained in my mind on how our house should be. And I expected Dinah to have that same mindset when we got married. But of course, I was terribly mistaken again.
Winston and I had 4 kids in 6 years. I had decided to stay home and look after the kids while Winston worked full time. But after taking care of the kids, feeding them, bathing them, and chasing after them, I was tired by the end of the day. Housekeeping was at the bottom of my list in terms of priorities. With 4 little children to take care of, along with my budding nursing career, I was too preoccupied to do the things that, to me, were more important than having a great, neat home. These attitudes came from our family of origin and often affect our relationship. We are also affected by how our parents acted. When I was growing up, I watched my dad handle the repairs at home, paint the bedroom wall, mow the lawn, so I expected Winston, my husband, to be the same, just like my dad. Well, boy was I surprised.
I believe in supporting the American economy. So even though I'm fairly adept in tackling small house projects or repairs, I would rather pay someone to do these jobs for me, just like my own mom. And these actions of mine caused Dinah to be very frustrated and disillusioned on my role as a husband. She believed that I was not setting a good example to our growing boys.
Recently, the bushes in the side yard of our home began to grow wildly, and I asked our oldest son, Timothy, to trim the bushes. The following day, the front yard and backyard were neatly manicured, and I just felt so proud of my son. I called our son to thank him for a job well done, but to my dismay, our son admitted that he was swamped with work, so he just hired our next-door neighbor's gardener to do the job for him. And he said, "Mom, Dad would do the same thing, too." Well, needless to say, we both felt frustrated with our expectations of each other. As we can see from our examples, family of origin has a strong impact on every facet of our lives, especially on our marital relationship.
We have come to realize that because of our family of origin, we can react without even thinking about what we are doing. We just react as our family used to react to a situation.
The pictures that we have from our family of origin can generate tensions and animosity in our marital relationship if they are different from our spouse. Winston and I found out that the best way to alleviate this is by sharing with each other the picture in our minds of how we each see life.
So that reaching a compromise on issues where we do not agree becomes that much easier.
Winston and I learned that to be life-giving and supportive of each other, it is imperative that we share and understand each other's picture of life. Understanding our past and the family we grew up in helps us understand who we are now and what we value. Neglecting to do this can lead to tensions, bitterness, or anger and disagreements in our marital relationship. Fortunately, for Winston and I, our faith has been our source of strength, always reminding us to be more understanding and life-giving to each other. We have a choice of bringing behaviors, traditions, expectations, and beliefs from our family of origin and leaving behind what we don't want in our marriage. We are writing the marriage manual for our children. It is our choice to design our marriage. We need to always remember we have a choice. But more importantly, we pray to God to help us make that choice so we can follow His plan for our marriage.
What I wanted to bring from my family of origin into our marriage is our faith, so that my children and their children would continue to live and walk in that same faith that I did. I also wanted to bring into our marriage the joy of music.
I wanted to bring into our marriage from my family of origin the joy of travel. I wanted to see and explore other parts of the world. I also wanted to bring into our marriage the value of college education. I also want to continue the family tradition of celebrating holidays and events. I also wanted to avoid bringing things from my family of origin, being too strict in disciplining the children, and the lack of outward affection toward each other.
I wanted to leave my unwillingness to share or communicate, and my desire to be reclusive or withdrawn. Remember how I described myself as timid and being close to a wimp during my description of my family of origin? Well, I want to put that inside this bag, and I want to leave it there forever and let that weak, scared, and reclusive little boy continue to become the strong, confident, and decisive husband that I have always wanted to be. Our family of origin will have a strong influence on the decisions we make and how we approach life daily. We have the choice to reinforce the positive effects and behaviors and to shut the door on the negative ones. The choices that we make can lead to a life-changing event in our marriage and family. By recognizing these influences, we have the choice to make our family the focus of our priority. It helps us work together to build our family, which in turn is the family of origin of our children. Life challenges such as illnesses or death of a loved one, or dealing with the loss of job or income, is highly stressful and can impact our relationship. Negative behaviors or attitudes from our family of origin may rise up into our marriage as life happens. So being aware of this can help us remember how we want to act and react. And we can ask God and our spouse to help us.
Winston and Dinah have helped us to understand the importance of family of origin and how it influences us as a married couple. Their sharing gives us a new perspective on how and why we think and act as we do. Understanding family of origin helps us to realize that when we create our own family of origin, we have choices as to the positive behaviors we choose to bring into our marriage and the negative behaviors we want to leave behind. Thank you to Winston and Dinah for sharing your marriage journey.